All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. All right, good evening to everybody. My name is Fred Werfel. I'm Vice President of the HOA, and tonight I will be your moderator. All right, we have 6 candidates. They each have a lot of things to say, and so we want to fill the evening with their statements and your questions. All right, each candidate will have 5 minutes for their opening remarks. We'll then ask for the questions. You people have taken pieces of paper with numbers on it. We'll call the first person, first number, and go from there. Please keep your questions short and to the point. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer your questions. Okay? Okay. When you walked in, you were given pieces of paper where you can ask a general question of all the candidates, and you can ask specific questions from a specific candidate. We will start off with the general questions, so each candidate has an opportunity to speak, and depending upon the number of general questions and how long it takes, we will then go to specific questions. Okay? So let's get started. First, let me introduce people that are up on the dais here. Immediately to my left, your right, is Susan Saltz. She will be our timekeeper tonight. Next to her is Herb Schoenfeld, who's president of the HOA. Next is Jack Solomons, followed by Frank Pastiglione. Then we have Bob Resch. Then we have Steve Swirsky. And finally, we have Stuart Seger. Okay? The first one to speak tonight is Jack Solomons.
Good evening. My name is Jack Solomons, and I have lived at the Greens for 11 years with my wife, Benita. To those of you who already know me and my efforts over the past 8 years for the resident of the Greens, I ask for you to vote for me to enable me to continue my work. To those of you who do not fall into this category, let me tell you some of the accomplishments that I have achieved for your benefit. I was president of Phase 3 for 2 years, 7 months, president of the HOA for 5 months, and I have been a director on the HOA for 5 years. I am the longest sitting member and have never missed one HOA meeting, 95 meetings up to this point. Here are some of the benefits realized by our community through my efforts. I initiated and was responsible for the process that will save the Greens residents a total of $1,115,908 on the sewer treatment plant overcharges from October 2012 through November 2015. Our monthly annual payments went from $55,106 to $25,740, an annualized saving of $352,392. I presented documents at an HOA meeting and stated that anything Mr. Kaplan owns, he makes a profit from it. Justice Spine stated in her decision that we were being overcharged by 53%. This was acknowledged by Mr. Hamburger, our lawyer, who on this very stage 3 years ago this June stated, Jack Solomons gets full credit for the sewer treatment plant, the lawsuit, the best lawsuit we have. Jamaica Ash was charging us $13,166 a month for their services for 10 years. When their contract was due for renewal, the HOA sent out 7 requests for proposals to other companies. 6 declined. The 7th was much higher than Jamaica Ash. I contacted a reputable garbage company and asked them for a bid. Their bid was $9,500 a month. The owner of that company told me he would never be chosen, as Jamaica Ash never loses a customer. But Jamaica Ash was then forced to reduce their bid down to $9,375 a month, or lose the contract they held for 10 years. Over the next 5 years, the new contract will run. We will have saved $227,460. That makes for a total savings between Jamaica Ash and the sewer treatment plant combined $1,343,363 that I saved the residents. My investigation and proven allegations of misconduct by Delcap's on-site property manager led to a change in property management companies. Delcap's yearly flat fee was $288,000, plus the fact that they received a $500 fee from every seller of every single unit sold at the Greens. And that was something I was against. Einseiler Property Management Company does not receive a penny on a unit sold. Delcap also wanted $375 as a fee if anything was changed inside your unit, such as your kitchen cabinets. I most vociferously opposed that, and Delcap withdrew that, as they also withdrew their suggestion that they receive a fee of $750 on any major repair in a unit, such as a bathroom. A few years ago, Richard asked me to bring a certain file to his office that I had accumulated over the years. While there, I brought a copy of the summons and complaint of the attorney for Country Point that I obtained from that attorney. He was suing Kaplan and the Beechwood Corporation. That attorney lost his case. I also gave a copy to Richard of Town Resolution 2684 that I had obtained through the Freedom of Information Act and had it certified by the town. That stated 2 club houses. 14 days later, at our next HOA meeting, Richard stated, "I know why the lawyer for Country Point lost his case, and I know how we can gain control of the clubhouse." True to his word, Mr. Hamburger did a fabulous investigation into the town files and was successful in our lawsuit. As you know, Justice Pine's decision was that we own 77% of the clubhouse. There is much, much more that I have done, but time constraints will not allow me to go any further. Ask me about the stucco case for phases 1 and 2, the $115 matter, the 45 banquets I attended at the clubhouse, the 2 months of surveillance I did every day on the sewer treatment plant, and much, much more. Remember, I stand for honesty, integrity, courage, and transparency, and I ask for you to vote me in another 3 years on the board. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Jack. Our second speaker is Frank Pastiglione.
Hello, everyone. Let me begin by giving you a little background on myself. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. During that time, I began working at the American Stock Exchange, where I purchased a seat, and then remained as a broker on the floor for 35 years. While there, I was an exchange official who attended monthly Board of Governors meetings and also served on various committees. As a member of the National Association of Security Dealers Arbitration Panel, I helped mediate disagreements between public customers and members of the securities industry. This experience of reducing conflict between parties while creating an amicable and fair solution was something that I took pride in. I have lived in the Dix Hills area for over 40 years, and I raised a family here. More recently, for the past 5 years, I have been a condo officer of the Greens. I have attended most of the board meetings, therefore I am familiar with the issues confronting our community. And with that, I would like to discuss a few. The Greens is a large complex and uses many contractors for ongoing projects. I feel we should employ a more defined checks and balances procedure than is presently in place. It should be composed of 3 segments, which should be independent from one another and have no duplicate members. I feel this would make for a true checks and balance system to avoid any conflicts of interest. For example, the system would work this way. The committee, first would be the committee or manager would address and define the project that requires attention. Second, a different committee would question contractors who are eligible and make the selection based on expertise and competitive bidding process. And third, the final component is to have the bill paid for from our funds. I feel the present committee system works well, and it should be expanded. There are many men and women among our neighbors who have had many years of experience in their fields before they retired. For that reason, we should continue to use their expertise on our committees. Democracy works best when people get involved in projects that benefit the community. Another issue I would like to focus on is limiting expenses. For many years, we have had reasonable monthly fees, and I believe that this has been one of the many factors for the enhanced real estate values enjoyed at the Greens. Construction and repairs should be limited to the original form and style as outlined in our prospectus. I believe in the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is important because the buildings are aging, roofs need repairing, and weather-beaten roadways will have to be repaved. But I feel these are necessary yearly expenses that are the most part expected and therefore can be managed. However, other expenses need to be kept in check in order to avoid potentially higher and unnecessary incremental fees and assessments. The last issue that I wish to discuss is in regards to traffic. The Traffic and Safety Committee is considering new rules that you must be aware of, since they will affect you personally. The community must voice their opinion on the following issues. Do you want cameras at all stop signs? Do you want security checking your speed with radar guns? Do you want securities issuing on-the-spot fines ranging from $25 to $100 per violation? I personally feel these potential solutions are a bit rigid and excessive, and feel a less punitive and aggressive solution would be more beneficial. Safety for our residents is always a major consideration. However, we are a private community, so we can exercise some flexibility in the rules that apply to us here. Moreover, if you agree or oppose these rules, notify your condo officers so that they may reflect their opinions appropriately. I've always taken my role as a condo officer seriously, and if elected as a voting board director, I would continue to do so in the future. Thank you for your time, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Number 3 is Bob Resch.
Hello, friends, neighbors, fellow Greens stakeholders. My name is Bob Resch. My wife Harriet and I moved here 12 years ago in Phase 1 and enjoying our lifestyle here. I believe the incoming board is going to be at the crossroads of the past, which was full of disputes and litigations and a divided community, and the potential for a very positive future, a future of calm, of a future that's filled with the kind of lifestyle we expected when we moved here. I want to be a force in that transition, to help that transition take place. Now, I'm not going to talk about specific issues because I have 5 minutes, and that will take a lot of time to talk about issues. Some are moving well and some that need to move a little better. There are also issues we don't know about yet. They haven't popped up. But I want to talk about the process, how we should be handling issues in the future. During my 50-year career, I managed engineering and construction of multiple million and billion-dollar projects, power plants, water resources, and dams. My management style was an important factor in achieving the continued successes that we had. I believe that a leadership that is inclusive and one, and one in which maintains an open-door policy, communicating outside, receiving communications in, feedback in, is the way to go to manage any kind of major entity. I believe decisions based on the best information available and evaluations available. I believe the Greens Committee system has to be energized, and I don't believe it's energized right now adequately in all areas. The conclusions or the reports issued by the various committees, each one assigned for specific issues, should be presented to the board for their consideration. This expands the board's understanding of the various issues. This is not a one-person deal. My management style encourages top-level consideration of all alternatives to any issue. Rarely is there a unanimous position. I would expect our board voting on issues with the knowledge they gained from the individual committee reports. They'll take several votes. I could see the first vote being 4-3 or 5-2 or 6-1 or whatever. I wouldn't expect our board to agree 7-0 on all the issues. I expect there will be some discussions, some I don't want to call it disputes, but differences of opinions. I think the board has to listen to all positions, has to take it under advisement. I think they need several votes, and if the minority position is convinced that their position is correct, it's up to them to convince one of the majority, a member of the majority, to change their vote. But once the vote is in, considering all of the information, that is the position of the board. And that's what is communicated to the community. Not different positions, not conflicting positions. The board has to present one unified position. This is my feeling. In this way, we will improve our reputation within the community, our reputation outside the community. I think we will present ourselves as a desirable and a sought-after community for seniors on Long Island. I know I've taken, that's all I have to say. I'm here to answer questions, and I expect there'd be 2 or 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next speaker is Stuart Seeger.
Hello, good evening. My name is Stuart Seeger. I can't see. Okay, that's better. My wife and Arlette and I have lived in the Greens for... How's this? I'm going to start again because of that. More time. My name is Stuart Seeger. My wife Arlette and I have lived in the Greens for about 2 years. During this time, we've had the good fortune to meet and make friends with a lot of fine people. And those people and the beautiful nature of the Greens has made this the best 2 years that we've had. I feel that in order to maintain and improve a place like the Greens, people need to participate, not just in recreation, which is important, but also in management by serving on the board or on committees. I believe my 48 years of legal experience in corporate and business matters and my hands-on business experience could be of value to the community. That is what I had in mind when I put my name in to run for the board. And there are 2 issues I want to mention tonight. Firstly, I'm disturbed by the acrimonious goings-on surrounding the board of directors. As we all know, there have been a constant stream of emails to residents disparaging the board. Board members give generously of their time, spending many hours and days on Greens business, and attendance at board meetings is not the totality of their duties. Their work is unpaid, It's intrusive on their time, and it's largely thankless. I believe if you are on the board, it's your right to express your point of view among members, and it is your duty to reach agreement on the issues. In my view, there's no place for a my way or the highway attitude. The present situation is especially sad to me in a residential community where management are volunteers. I urge you to vote for candidates who operate in harmony on the board. Secondly, the largest problem facing the Greens at this point is resolution of the Kaplan litigations. They've been disruptive, have denied the community access to property which belongs to it, and have been very expensive. Litigation has been very important in getting us to where we are today. However, litigation, like war, usually doesn't resolve issues, and a political solution is needed. In the first instance, each side has to stop demonizing the other. This started out as a business dispute and can be resolved by mutual respect and consideration of the issues. There are things the Greens want, there are things Kaplan wants, and it's time to make a deal so we get on with our lives. The litigation can go on and won't get us a clubhouse run by and for the community, a heated pool, or a golf course that's used by more residents and therefore supported by the community. I have had extensive experience in settling litigations, and I've learned that resolution involves a business deal, not a victory where one side is crushed. The views I'm expressing tonight are among the ones I had in mind when running for the board, and I hope to put into effect on the board. However, since there are a number of candidates running who believe as I do, I've decided to withdraw in order to enable somebody with my point of view to be elected. In the course of this process, I've come to know Bob Resch. Bob is highly qualified. During his career, as he has said, he's had experience in dealing with other people in a cooperative manner. And with his engineering expertise, Bob would be an asset on the board. I urge you to give him your vote, which will be a vote for a quality person and a major step toward achieving harmony and respect among board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That's Stu. See, I already jumped onto Bob's leg. All right, number 5. Who is that? Steve Swirsky, is that your name?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Steve Swirsky, or better known as Lucky's father. It's hard to believe that 3 years has passed since I was up here on this stage before. And the last time I was up here, it was very personal and emotional for me. But it's about, giving back to all of you. I have found you all, the kindness, the love, the friendships that I've made here have changed my life and have been absolutely wonderful. And in trying to give back, I hope I haven't disappointed you. For those that know me, I really don't talk about myself very much. I'd rather, but I have to tonight if I want to get reelected. But it's really, what makes me happy is if I see you happy, and whatever I could do to make you happy is what drives me. Whether it's indoor tennis or the golf or Lucky's party or happy hour. So, by the way, Lucky's party is, the dog birthday party is June 13th. Everybody's welcome, grandkids, granddogs, and so forth. On the board, the two things which I take pride in are the bylaw change. There were multiple attempts in the past to have a bylaw change occur, especially with the multiple voting. With some of your help, we accomplished that. In past years, we only got 500-600 votes. With the way we did it this time, we got 1,000 votes, over 1,000 votes. And this gives you the opportunity to vote for 3 of us, you know, for the current election. The other is the newsletter and the alerts, the emails. I truly believe a happier community is one where you know what's going on. And it also helps, you know, to understand how hard the board does work for your benefit. So those are the 2 things that I love. The other thing I'll say is that, you know, under Herb's direction with the committee system, the ability of a board to have the members talk to each other is just a wonderful thing. And it makes it so much easier to have an effective board when everyone does talk with each other. Some of the examples I can give is the ice melt, which we give out. We had an insurance report, and the insurance costs were going up because of slip and falls. And we're involved in the snow removal. And then there was someone who went out for their newspaper and slipped and fell on the ice. And you can't clear a community this size of ice in one time. So I came up with the idea of giving to everyone ice melt, salt, to put out in front of their doors when they see their paper, spread your own salt. Next day I spoke to Joe, and before I knew it, there was a truckload of containers with salt ice melt out in front. Other things that the parking lines and numbers, when those were faded, I took that under, in the condos, I took that under my responsibility, and I guided that project to make sure the numbers and lines were done. The alterations in the dumpster areas, to have the containers with the lighting, and now to have them changed, because the gates look terrible and they're dangerous. And the stop lines, we're having tomorrow, we're putting in the thermoplastic with glass beads so that the stop lines will be reflective as we're having problems seeing at night. So the stop lines will be more obvious. So again, to have an effective board and to have everyone talk to each other is just a wonderful thing. We live in a wonderful community. It's great seeing all of you walking and at the clubhouse and every place else. And it's really? Oh, okay. It's just a wonderful place. And all I can say is, if you re-elect me, I promise to work hard to make it even better for you and for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, we have our final speaker, last and certainly not least, Herb Schoenfeld.
You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. That's what it's all about, and I appreciate you coming here tonight. I am Herb Schoenfeld, president of the HOA, and have served in this capacity for almost 2 years. I was appointed by the HOA board in October 2012. I served as treasurer and then was elected by the voting HOA board members as the president. I'm now running for election as HOA board for the next 3 years. My objective was and still is to bring the community together and work for the common good of all. I want to maintain the beauty of the property, our style of living, and our home values. We are and will remain the #1 over 55 community on Long Island. I'm a CPA by profession and saw a need to be able to properly report information to the board and the community. Therefore, I created a committee system to involve you, our community members, to be able to use your expertise in solving the problems of the Greens for now and the future. The HOA board passed a resolution accepting this committee system and is working very well. Fantastic knowledge at no cost. There are approximately 100 members from our community serving on these committees. The committees include insurance, finance and budget, auditing, construction and bids, investments, legal, traffic and safety, A&A, STP, public relations, personnel, and others. These committees have served the HOA board and the community well, as hundreds of thousands of dollars have been saved. Certain board members wanted to remain in control and make every decision on their own without proper knowledge and expertise. This is old-fashioned and out of date. All the HOA board members cannot be experts in all aspects of finance or construction. These committees have been critical sources of information to the board. Any board member who states that he did it by himself is misleading the community. The board makes all the decisions in hearing from our property manager, the committees, the condo boards, and you, our neighbors. It is discussed in detail. A perfect example of misleading the community is the notion that one or two board members had a direct effect on the termination of the previous management company. At the end of a long, drawn-out process, the board chose Einsiedler. The savings as money was negotiated by our treasurer, Joe Perry. Einsiedler was chosen as our new management company for many reasons, but their overall technology and capabilities in regard to proper financial reporting was paramount. Their reputation is impeccable, and the Finance Committee is able to review their information easily each month. Since the beginning of 2014, we are now scanning into our computer all the information of each homeowner. There are no longer paper files. I set up a robocall system as another technological advance to advise the community of important information. We reached 1,675 phone numbers in 10 seconds. Of course, the singing is no additional charge. Steve Swirsky is the board liaison to public relations. As he stated, has created an alert system, a newsletter. The Life at the Greens magazine has been streamlined, and our staff and the treasurer have taken the course of this magazine to almost a break-even from a losing proposition. The renewal of the garbage contract was an important undertaking for the board. As president, I immediately sent a letter to our garbage collection contractor per our agreement, notifying them they will not renew. Joe Perry also told them that we were overpaying and needed a new equitable price. After months of negotiation, the board voted to retain our present company at a substantial savings in cost. Because we wanted garbage collection to be more residential friendly, we switched to garbage cans and not containers. The SDP committee, chaired by Fred Werfel, is made of professional engineers, plumbers, finance individuals, and people that were previously in construction. They have done their due diligence by seeing the SDP, reviewing all the documents, reviewing the county position, reading the current proposed rules and regulations. Remember, this referendum in November is not for us to take over the SDP. It's to decide if the county should take it over. No matter what happens, moving this off a year, your HOA board has saved $250,000. There are many other things that I could tell you, fixing gazebos, refurbishing the guard booths, the shed area, et cetera, et cetera. We saved $65,000 a year on the snow contract, replaced all gutters and leaders at the condos, LED lighting. It's been a tremendous 2 years that we have done this. We have done this all with no increase in common charges for 3 years. I am available to everyone to try to return all calls and answer all my emails. I love this job, the community, and the people I have met. I need your vote to continue as a board member for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, it's now your turn. We have 26 what we call general questions, where each of the candidates will have an opportunity to respond. So without further ado, let's start with number one. Who is number one? Let's start off with number two. Number two is here. Okay. All right, please keep your questions concise so that we can get to everybody. Thank you.
The question is very precise. Many of the speakers have addressed several issues. In one case, no issue was represented, but no one has mentioned getting FHA approval for reverse mortgages. I would like to know where the candidates stand on that issue.
Okay. We'll just go down the line. Everybody can get as much as 2 minutes. You don't have to use all the 2 minutes. So, Herb, why don't you start? Use the microphone in front of you. Is there a switch on?
Thank you, Maria. See, there is a switch. You have to be young. Young in technology. It's one of the things. Yes, the FHA committee has been meeting, and where we are now, they brought their proposal to the board. The problem, the FHA, we're using an outside company to see if we qualify before we file exactly with the FHA. And where we are now, that committee has come up with the fact that we have legal problems, and the FHA is worried about our legal problems. They're worried about we pay social dues to another third party. So we have to resolve all this. So the board took a vote at I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting before. We decided to hold off on this before we get politicians involved and go further, because we have to resolve some of these issues, and that's what we're trying to do.
Pass the microphone.
I am, and I've always been for FHA mortgages, whether they're just FHA mortgages or reverse mortgages. There are some people that have come to me, quite a few, that need a reverse mortgage, or they probably no longer can stay at the Greens. I was a committee member of the board. Susan was the chairperson, and right now it's laying a little dormant, but on my own, as a committee person, I have made some inquiries very recently, as of today, to try to get past certain barriers that the FHA has put up. And I'm trying to do that through our representative, Congressman Steve Israel, and hopefully that should take place in about another week.
I'm definitely in favor of the FHA for the residents of the Greens. It seems to be something that everyone would like to have and should have. And I can only hope that the committee that is working on this can get it done for us.
I'm not currently a member of the board, so I'm not privy to the discussions on FHA, the pluses and the minuses, and how it might affect our community. So I would like to hear the arguments that the board is making, and then I would weigh my decision based on that. But it would not do a service to the community if I were to offer, my own opinions on something I haven't really researched, nor have I heard the arguments for or against as it affects this community.
There were some guidelines that were just passed by the government at the end of April, and to review those. But it's, again, we have to get through the legal part, the legal problems that are holding it up.
Okay, hold on to the microphone. We'll start from you and work our way back. All right, question number 3 is skipped. Question number 4. Who has number 4? And if number 5 will come up, that might speed things up a little bit. Thank you.
The question is for Frank Postiglione, and I'll call you Frank because the question is...
Excuse me, these are general questions for the entire board, please.
Well, they gave me a sheet that said his name on it.
No, I understand that. We will have questions for the individuals after we finish the general questions for the whole board.
General question.
Okay.
All right? The subject is we have a large community. And as a large community, we have a lot of expenses. Do anybody want to speak about the reserve that we have? And is there a necessity for an additional charge to everybody for making sure that there's enough money to fund the roads, the roofs, et cetera, et cetera? General question.
Steve?
Under the current system, we are contributing to the reserve fund. It's not as much as has been stated in the offering plan, and it's going to be looked at with the current board, whether it's, there should be any increases and so forth.
It's my feeling that the reserve fund has to deal with, of course, the current maintenance programs, the long-term maintenance programs, and it probably will have to be increased at some point. It's not at the level where it should be. I would also hope that there would be some leeway and some elbow room to incorporate some enhancements to our community, prudent financial evaluations to see if we can make our community even better. But we must first take care of the maintenance issues and some of the long-term maintenance issues like roofing and road work that will come up.
Well, I'm sure we can meet the requirements of the needs of the greens as far as repairs and alterations and things like that as we have in the past. I don't see the need for an extra assessment at this time, unless it is absolutely necessary. I think the repairs and whatever we come up with can be worked into our budget.
I was looking through some minutes about 4.5 years ago. Recently, but I took out some minutes that were 4.5 years old, and I looked at the financials then. 4.5 years ago, we had $1,800,000 in our reserves. I think we now have about close to $1,400,000, or maybe a little short.
Well, I guess the answer is an assessment may be needed down the road because we really are only 12 years old now, and somewhere down the road we'll be 20 years old. So we will need an assessment. The Financing Committee is working on this, coming up with a long-term plan, and we will have answers down the road. But right now, as Frank said, we can probably get through doing everything we have to do out of the current operating budget. And we have a program set up for 8 years to do the driveway, so that was a start. We have the roofing program is pretty much under control. So it's just a matter of time and see we are every year, and eventually we'll have to get an assessment. What we'll try to do is, of course, we haven't had one here except one, I believe, in all the years I'm living here. We had one assessment. That was after the fact because we already spent the money, and somebody said we need to put it back into reserve. But why where we are now is limited because we have gone out and taken the money and put money into the community. Everything we do, draining programs, you cannot believe how much drainage work we have done here in 2 years to get people to be able to live in their basements don't flood. Some of this hasn't been done for 10 years. We did it this year. We're putting more money into the reserve each year. We put $400,000 in this year. We only supposed to put in $229 per our book that everybody signed. So each year we're trying to put a little way more, but somewhere down the road, I guess we'll have to bite the bullet.
Thank you. Number 5. Sorry, stand up, number 5. Withdrawn. Okay, number 6.
I'd like to know each of your positions on the sewerage treatment plant on the proposal. Do you think it's worthwhile, or should we withdraw from it? And why?
Well, I could at least tell you the board's position was we went and voted to do it because the county insisted we had a vote to do it, or else they wouldn't listen to anything that had to be said at the county hearing. So the board voted 5-2 to do that. But where we are now, it's really not a proposal for the sewer treatment plant. If it comes up down the road, we have to think about it. But right now, it's a referendum to see if the county takes over. The county passed this sewer treatment plant bill, I guess it is, and now we have a referendum to see if it goes forward. If the people in the community, the voting community in the sewer district decide to go forward with this, then the county takes over and we'll all pay, the community pays an extra $250,000 and we won't own the sewer treatment plant. If the referendum is defeated, it goes back to the person who's running it now. So right now we're not involved, and statements and things can change between now and the referendum. We'll see what happens after the referendum.
Jack, before you start, we have a request. Each candidate, please state your name before you answer the question.
Jack Solomons. Yes, I attended those 2 legislative hearings, 18 legislators, and I spoke twice. And the 18 legislators picked a committee of 5 legislators to determine whether it should go to the Greens or to the county, and they voted 5-0 that it should go to the county. The legislators voted 18-0 that it should go to the county. Resolution 684-2000 says it should go to the Nassau, the Suffolk County Sewer District. It should be dedicated to the Suffolk County Sewer District, maintained and operated by them. Our offering says the same thing, only our offering says it should go to a sewer district. On the other hand, both attorneys for the other side, the Benjamin Corporation, swore up and down that they would never turn the sewer treatment plant over to the Greens. It is my opinion that they have put up $425,000 and given it to the Suffolk County Sewer District, and I believe when the time comes where they see that it is going to the Greens, they might withdraw that $425,000, and then, of course, we would not take over the Greens because we would have to contribute that $425,000 for its maintenance.
Well, presently on the referendum, if the...
Frank, state your name first, please.
Oh, Frank Pastiglione, sorry. If the county takes over the treatment plant, it'll be an immediate increase of fees for a good portion of the residents of the Greens. So, to be very honest, we are hoping that it doesn't take it over. My personal feeling, and I don't know if this is the right thing to say, is that if we can predict to a certain degree or influence what our future expenses are going to be, it would be very beneficial for us, and it would have a solid impact for us. And so that's where I would like to go with this.
Okay, my name is Bob Resch, and I was on the sewage treatment plant committee. And I think it was a good model on how all our committees should operate. We spent a lot of time evaluating the question, what would our recommendation be to the board? We had a look at the technical issues. We inspected the plant. We reviewed and inspected a sewage treatment plant out east owned by another condo community out in Medford who has been operating their sewage treatment plant successfully for 40 years. We interviewed our consultant. We looked at various issues. We looked at budgets. And we made a recommendation to the board. And our recommendation to the board was basically there's nothing that should preclude us from taking over the plant if that's the way it goes. Of course, the situation now is the community's going to vote on it. And however that vote turns out, well, that's the voice and the conclusion of the community, and that's the way it should go. And then we move on. It should not be an emotional issue between personalities. I can say again, once again, as a member of the sewage treatment plant committee, I listened to your concerns. I listened to your comments. We investigated. We responded. I think we answered all your questions in a very open, communicative way. And I think that's the way all our committees should operate, very actively. And that's my position on the sewage treatment plant.
Steve Swirsky. The most important thing that's going to be coming up first is the referendum. And again, as Herbert mentioned, the referendum has nothing to do with the Greens HOA taking over the plant. So it is in our interest to keep it with the present operator, okay? As far as the HOA taking over the plant, all of you have to be on a learning curve with it. This is not a commercial sewage plant. This is very local, and it's very different than what you might read about in the papers. And I think at that point we can have a good debate over whether the Greens should take over the plant.
Hold on to the mic. All right, number 7.
Hi, my name is Martin Lund. My question to the board members is, what do you think the 2 or 3 most important issues facing the residents of the Greens are, and how do you stand on each issue?
The Greens is over 10 years old, and we're going to have a lot of problems occurring with the maintaining the community. The roads, the driveways are an issue. Part of that is going to be the reserve fund, and it's going to be the upkeep of the community.
Bob Resch. I left a handout outside, and I addressed some of these issues. My real problem right now is the level of conflict between the two principal stakeholders in our community. The first stakeholder, the residents, and I call them the quality of lifers, all of us in this room. The other principal stakeholder is the sponsor, a for-profit company. And we have been in conflict for 10 years, in litigation for 10 years. I think we are tired and upset with the amount of money we've spent on litigation. But I hazard a guess that so is the sponsor. I think we have a great opportunity now to remove the disputes from the courts and move them over to the negotiating table. I think there's probably a path where we can satisfy our needs, where we can satisfy the sponsor's needs. We can come up with a win-win solution. We have political clout here. We can help him if he's willing to negotiate in a fair and equitable way. I think that's the principal problem. If we can resolve the clubhouse, if we can resolve the shed area, the north gate, there's a lot of areas, the use of the clubhouses, the heating of the swimming pool. There's a lot of arbitrary decisions made by the sponsor, which I think we could negotiate out and we don't have to go to court for that. At least that's what I'm hoping, and that's what I'm pushing for.
I agree with Frank Basiglione. I agree with both issues that Steve and Bob have spoken about. Certainly, what Steve brings up, the aging of the Greens properties and the maintenance of that, and the handling of the budget to take care of all that. That's a big issue. The legal aspect of it, it's a major line on our budget. What we're paying for our legal fees. But so far we're getting good results, and I can only hope that it continues in the future. I know we do have lots of bargaining chips to deal with it.
Yes, there are 5 words that we're duty-bound to follow as HOA board members.
Jack Solomon.
Fiduciary responsibility and quality of life issues for all of the residents.
Well, in answering the question,
Herb
Schoenfeld, in answering the question, resolving the legal issues and make it an equitable situation for everybody. I mean, it is a big budget line, but it has been worth everything we've gotten to this point because we're winning every case. And there are many more things done, just cases. We have all kinds of lawsuits come up, contracts have to be filed, there's plenty of work to be done. But in keeping with that, a major problem is the shed area, because the shed area, as you're well aware, we made an agreement with the sponsor and put it off for a year, received $36,000 so we can clean up the area across from where the shed is by the trailer office, and they've already cleaned it up, so it looks pretty good right now. They've emptied out a 30-yard dumpster and cleaned up their inside, and they're moving a lot of equipment inside. But in doing that, we always have the problem, how do we keep the golf course open? So that's the biggest thing. With finishing the legal issues and keeping the golf course open, we have to resolve the issue of the shed. And we're in constant negotiation now with the sponsors, so hopefully we'll resolve all this in the future. And of course, the third thing would be the infrastructure and the fair value, because we have to maintain that to keep the values up. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 8. Thank you. Number 9. Number 9 is withdrawn. Number 10. Okay. Number 11. We're fading fast. Now 11. Number 12. Okay. Number 13. Number 14. 15. Maria, we have 15.
My name is Kathy Chagrue, and I live on Belfour, and I'm condo 1. And can you hear me now? Barely. Okay. The prototype for the fence for Old South Path has been sitting in front of the HOA office for a year. Now, I'd like to know when and if that's going to be started. Any one of you can answer.
You mean take it away from the front of the trailer? It's one for me, Kathy. Right now, the proposal from the A&A committee has gone to the Budget and Finance, and they missed this year's budget, so they're trying to figure out how to do that. And if we could do it for the future, they have to work it into the upcoming budgets. Right now, they're working on a proposal to close off the unmanned gate and make that safer so we don't have a situation where anybody can just walk through. That's about $50,000. And I think we can cover it up. It'll be beautiful. It's similar to the fence that's sitting out in front with gates, swinging doors, and all those beautiful things like Country Point. But that's where we are now. But that could be done this year, that part. But right now it's still Budget and Finance. And see how it goes.
In my opinion, that's one of our, Jack Solomon's, in my opinion, that's one of our dream projects, and I think it's a few years away because it is quite expensive. And I know the problem over there, Kathy. I've known it for years. We've discussed it.
Frank Pastiglione. As far as I know, there's been no final decision made on that yet, but like Jack just said, it's quite an expensive project, and I'm not sure where it's going to go.
Well, I am in favor of enhancements to the community. I have to admit that. It has to be done, you know, in a good financial way. It should be planned. Every time I drive into the community through the main gate and look at that, the beautiful ponds and the fountains, it's really wonderful. And it takes that view to wipe out the view of that ugly green wire mesh fence that surrounds our community. Now, it may not be possible, it probably is not possible in one shot to enclose our entire community with that architectural wall. But certainly maybe near the entrances, you know, start the work. When we can fit it in economically into the budget, we should consider doing that. As far as the side gate is concerned, you know, we're a gated community without a gate on the side. I mean, we want to be a secure community, and I think if we don't have a man gate, we ought to have one of those sliding gates that keep us a secure community, and that's my point.
I agree with Bob. The beautification of the greens is very important. For those of us who use the north gate, it doesn't compare to the south gate. So I know the gate is being considered first before the fence, and it's really what the budget committee is going to come out with.
Keep the mic.